Also, the Chapter 994 this year has taken the opportunity also to honor the media that carries the word about the Vietnam veteran. They carry the word about veterans as a whole. At this time, I'd like to ask Michael Parks from the Franklin Press to come and receive a plaque. It says, in appreciation for the continued support you have shown to the Vietnam veterans and Vietnam Veterans of America, March 28, 2015. Let's give a hand to Michael Parks.
We're very lucky here in Macon County to have so many veterans that we can look up to and learn from. And the Franklin Press is always going to do anything that we can to support you guys. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We also have a newspaper here called the Macon County News. We have a lot of, I see one of the reporters out here this morning, Brittany. But this couldn't happen without this lady. She's here with me this morning, Betsey Goodard, Macon County News. Again, in appreciation for the continued support you have shown to the Vietnam veterans and the Vietnam Veterans of America, Betsey Goodard.
We started this paper about 33 years ago with two people, my husband and myself, and we saw a need for something a little bit different on a shorter scale. We put our life into it, we raised our children, and the values that are here in Macon County were very important to us. And Vietnam in itself, when the wall came here, I remember it very well. All of us went there, and all of us wept over those names on that wall, and it meant a great deal to us. We can never forget what the sacrifices that you and your predecessors have done for us. And we love this country, and we will continue to report everything we can to keep us free. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Goodard. At this time, we have an individual reporter from the Macon County News we want to introduce you to. He has taken it upon himself for the last month or so to write an article about some of the Vietnam veterans here in Macon County. He's done this on his own through the guidance of Ms. Goodard, and I happen to be one of the ones that's interviewed, and he interviewed POW Nat Henry the other day, and we all appreciate what he's done in his write-ups for us. It's been very respectful and very professional. I'd like to introduce you now, Mr. Harry Taylor, again in appreciation for the continued support you have shown to the Vietnam veterans and the Vietnam Veterans of America. Harry Taylor has been the one who's been writing the articles in the Macon News. Harry.
I write better than I talk, I guess. But I would like to say this. April the 30th this year marks the 40th anniversary of the last contingent of Marines leaving the U.S. Embassy in Saigon. And this just got to be a real project with me. But I want all of you to realize that, you know, I put the words on the paper, but these guys that you see around you here, Gary Shields and Matt Henry and Rick, I'll even mention Rick, Rick was a big part of getting this thing started. And these guys at 994 have been wonderful to me. But the thing that we have to remember is that though I put the words on paper, their lives wrote the articles. You know, they've spilled blood, they've been POWs. A number have lost their lives in Vietnam. But those, like I said, that wrote the articles. I just put the words down on a piece of paper. These guys, I love them. I respect them. I can't say too much for them. You just cannot say. They're a great bunch of guys. And one thing it's done for me is that I've always been aware of veterans, but it's really made me aware of walking up to veterans and saying, brother, I love you. I appreciate what you've done for your country. And I do it in the parking lot, and my wife will tell you this. I'm bad about walking up and starting talking to people. But I do. It's made me aware of letting people know that you appreciate them. And do that. If you have a veteran, if you see a veteran, let them know that you appreciate them. I guarantee you they'll talk to you. And they'll let you know. God bless them all.
Again, we appreciate all of the media and all the writers who keep the veterans movement alive, what we've done, the history, and we definitely want to say thank you to all of them for what you've done for the Vietnam veteran. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Rick Norton. We need to give Rick Norton a good hand, because I'm telling you, this would not happen if it hadn't been for Rick Norton. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Gary. This wouldn't have happened without these guys out here in uniform today, the members of 994. That's what made today happen. Thank you all for coming out on this cold morning to honor Vietnam Veterans Day. Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 994, located right here in Franklin, is responsible for this day, honoring Vietnam veterans. An idea was born back in 2008 by Darrell Maxwell and others in this chapter. Darrell, wave your hand so everybody can see who you are. That there's the man that's more responsible for this day than any other. They took an idea back in 2008 to approach then Congressman Heath Shooter, for help in having March 29th designated as Vietnam Veterans Day. March 29th was the day in 1973 that the last combat ground forces left Vietnam. Congressman Shooter stood on the House floor of the House of Representatives on June the 24th, 2008, and presented House Resolution 1231, proclaiming March the 28th as Vietnam Veterans Day. The resolution passed unanimously. The first Vietnam Veterans Day parade was held right here in Franklin on Saturday, March 28, 2009. And I'm glad Tom Piles and his wife were able to be here to see it. Vietnam veterans are different from any other veterans from any other war. We were vilified by the public, called baby killers, we were spit on, ostracized. We were blamed for losing a war. We didn't lose a war. We weren't permitted to win it. Soldiers don't set policy. Soldiers carry out the policy as dictated by their government. Good soldiers obey and carry out their orders. We did that with honor and integrity, yet we're still blamed for the failure that was Vietnam. Someone once said, old men make decisions that get young men killed. After the Vietnam Veterans Day Parade in 2010, someone wrote to the Rants and Raves in the Franklin Press. Everybody reads the Rants and Raves, right? That's the reason I buy the press every week, just so I can see what everybody's thinking in the Rants and Raves. But they put in the rants and raves, and why do we need a Vietnam Veterans Day, they said. There are already enough military parades with Veterans Day and Memorial Day. I got a little hot about that, and I thought about writing a letter and signing my name to it, but I didn't. That person has the right to express their opinion, whoever that was. But I'm entitled to my opinion as well. Yeah. And here's my answer to them. Vietnam Veterans Day honors those 58,279 names that are on that black wall in Washington, D.C. Vietnam Veterans Day honors these three families sitting over here in the seats that lost a loved one in Vietnam, and their names are over there on those crosses. Vietnam Veterans Day honors these two heroes sitting behind me. We honor the service of every Vietnam veteran who answered the call of duty and served their country. We served, and today you say to us, thank you for your service, and we thank you for that. But is our service any more than yours? Whose service matters the most? Is the doctor, the nurse, the teacher, policeman, fireman, is their service any less for this country? I say no. I say thank you. When someone says thank you for your service to me, I say thank you for yours. I say thank you to the mom and dad that are raising their children to be good citizens, to love their country. That service equals any. A teacher that inspires a student to reach for his dreams. Even lawyers and politicians, we'll include everybody. And I say thank you to people out there like Daylon Flemings and Lee Tabor, our veteran service officers here, for the service that they provide to the veterans of Macon County. All citizens should serve in some way to help others because they can. They can because they live in the best country on the face of this earth. We served, and you call us heroes, and we know you mean well, but we feel a little uncomfortable with that compliment. It goes back to service. That's what we did. We served. We did our duty. We followed our orders. We served honorably. But most of us are not heroes. Are there heroes? You bet there are. There are three of them standing right here on this stage with me, and there's others standing out there in the crowd. But they are modest and honorable men who would say, we just did our duty. You really want to honor a Vietnam vet? Do you want him to stand a little straighter, put a smile on his face, maybe even a little tear in the corner of his eye? It's simple. It's easy. And it's something he's been waiting to hear and needing to hear for over 45 years. Just stick out your hand and say, welcome home. Thank you. Now we're going to get into the more important parts of this ceremony. There will be 3 rifle volleys fired, so don't be alarmed at the noise. At this time, we will have a presentation of the wreath.